Hello everyone, welcome to this month's episode of the Blue Post podcast. Now, we had a great idea for a topic. We were going to sit down and discuss streaming services. So we sat down, we recorded, we high-fived each other afterward. Parts of the story might be made up. And then, not even a week later, Disney announced their own streaming service. So needless to say, we don't discuss that one because then, well, we'd be prophets and I'd have a winning lottery ticket. But even without Disney, there was still plenty for us to talk about, so sit back and enjoy our discussion on streaming services. We're recording this before Star Trek Discovery comes out, but CBS, as part of their CBS All Access streaming service, has made Discovery exclusive to it. I already have Hulu, I already have Netflix. Are there too many streaming services out there? Like, how does everyone feel about the plethora of options when you're looking at like the Hulus, the Netflix, the HBO Nows, the HBO Go's, the Crunchyrolls, all the options we have now?
Yes. That was the joke that I made earlier. Yes, there are too many streaming services.
And thank you for watching the Blue Post podcast.
Right, that's the end.
I think it's yes and no. It depends to me if you're paying for it, right? How many streaming services are you paying for? Something like Crunchyroll, it is technically free, and then you're paying to get the newer episodes. And then if you wait a week, they're just free anyway. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's not as bad to me, or something like Hulu, where, you know...
It used to be free.
It used to be free. Like, I think ABC and a couple of the other networks, you can watch the content for free, and then eventually gets taken off, or you can watch them for free a week after they air, something like that.
Yeah, there's like windows of release.
Yeah, where you don't need to pay for them unless you want that instant access, and you can kind of pick and choose. I think that's okay. The problem for me comes in the fact, things like Community, right? Seasons 1 through 3 are on Netflix or on Hulu, and then seasons like 4 and 5 are on Netflix. Or
that's
like
what's bothering me. I'm watching Steven Universe, and it's like 1 through 3 on Hulu, 4 and 5 on Amazon. I'm like,
stuff like that bothers me. Where it's like, I want to watch my one, like, this is the one show I want to watch. I don't want to pay for 2 streaming services.
Or you run into the issue, because I was watching Legend of Korra. Seasons 1 through, I think, 3 were free on Amazon Prime, another streaming service. But, like, you'd have to pay for, like, the 4th season or something like that. Korra, at this point, is, like, 3 years old? It's old enough that it's like, why would you only have the one season excluded from the group? Because they want you to pay for it.
Yeah. It's a huge money scheme that they're pulling now, right? Because it's like people are on the internet so much, people don't want to pay for cable anymore. So they go into this now where you're going to pay for all these different services to watch a million different things.
A couple of years ago, the big like hot thing was like, we're gonna cut the cord, right?
Yeah.
Now it's becoming more expensive to cut the cord. Yeah, because of the amount of streaming services you have to pay for.
Yeah, I was on the phone with my dad, and I was kind of doing like the math of like my cable bill. After you factor in like the internet and then HBO Now and Hulu and Netflix and all that stuff, it's like, oh wow, if I was just alone paying for all that stuff, that would be like, I think it was like a $90 bill.
Isn't that content better than getting cable or dish or something like that? Think about the amount of things that you are likely to watch on Netflix alone versus the amount of things that you're likely to watch across all of the television channels you get.
I don't have a problem having paid for Netflix or Hulu because that covers most of the content I want to watch. And if there's anything that they don't cover, if I care enough, I usually just buy it on iTunes. And it's still, in the long run, if you go out for the years out, like, be like, instead of just saying this is how much I pay in a month, but compared how much I'd pay for cable internet or cable TV and internet, I know I'm out ahead. Mm-hmm. But it's like with CBS's thing, they have only one show I'm interested in. Why am I going to pay, like, give them $5 a month? That's how I feel with HBO.
Like, I'm only going to watch, well, maybe Westworld, because I haven't watched that yet, but like Game of Thrones, like, I was not about to pay for it, so usually we watch it with you. We don't want to pay another $10 on top of our cable bill.
And to be fair, like, that's what I got HBO for to begin with, was, well, mainly Silicon Valley and
Game of Thrones.
Yeah. Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
So, like, what it made me do was start exploring what else is on there.
Yeah.
And, like, I fell in love with Ballers, and I ended up watching Westworld, and, like, it made me
good movies on there, too.
I love watching Last Week Tonight. Like, I bet they have numbers where there's a drop-off after every time Game of Thrones ends. But then you have people like me where it's like...
I did that.
Yeah, I know you did that, but, like, people like me, it's like, I found that there was just enough there to where I was like, it's not worth getting rid of my subscription.
Right. Sure, Game of Thrones was pushed back, but, I mean, having Silicon Valley and then leading that into Game of Thrones, and then after that having Westworld leading into that, and like having those shows lined up, but they're not stacked on top of each other anymore.
Yeah, HBO has been really good with their programming, because a lot of HBO's initial business model was movies. It was never the original programming. It's just original programming evolved out of all the money they made from the movie side of it. Whereas now HBO is becoming more and more into originals. And that's... Yeah, and that's same with Netflix, because Netflix realizes, and this is where I think we're running into the issue of where all these streaming services are starting, all the traditional content makers and the networks are realizing, if we're giving our back catalog to Netflix, what do we have that other people are going to want? And I think that's part of the problem CBS has, is I look at their catalog and I'm like, there's no shows that I've ever really been interested in that I can't either get somewhere else, or that I'm interested in enough to be like, yes, I'm willing to add another $5-6 a month onto my...
The thing that I'm concerned about is that we've already started to see prices come on where they didn't used to be, or go up from what they used to be, because there's competition now. Because it used to only be Netflix, so it was like $7. You could rent DVDs, then they added streaming, still $7. Then they're like, well, now we're going to make like 10. Now we're going to make like 12. Who's like, no, we're going to make it $10 now. Because this is a huge market, these prices are starting to go up. And like, if you're doing all like, 6 of them or whatever, that's going to start adding up really quick. Yeah. And you might as well just get cable and like record stuff at that
part
point.
Of it is the reason why the prices went up, and the reason why Netflix split everything off was literally because Hollywood was caught completely off guard by how popular streaming was going to become, and how quickly it became popular and quickly has become one of the primary means of people watching television. And they're like, we want more money. So that meant Netflix had less money to work with in order to kind of keep things going. That had to like split off stuff. I get it from their business side of things why Netflix did what it did, but it seems like every network now on some level, you hear rumblings of, oh, Viacom is working on their package, and oh, this other group is working on their package. It seems like all these companies are like trying to figure out their own service so they can keep all their own content, which means that we're basically going to be going back to channels. And as much as everyone's like, oh, what we really want for a cable package is something like you build it yourself. I want to pick what channels I get. But all these networks typically are owned by one company, typically owns a bunch. And that one company isn't going to spin off their best version without making you buy all the other shit to go with it.
Right, like isn't Netflix and Hulu actually under like the same umbrella company?
No. Or no? Netflix is its own thing.
Okay.
Hulu is owned by Universal. It's basically split between NBC Universal, Disney through ABC, and Fox. The only major network that is not a part of Hulu is CBS, and that's, you can look at it as almost like foresight, like CBS and Less Movies going, hey, it's not worth us putting our content on here when it's going to be more beneficial for us down the road to release our own service. For me as a consumer, the problem I have with that is I want to consume some of your content. Please stop putting up barriers, even financial ones, that make it make me less inclined to follow through, especially for something that was like broadcast.
Right.
Why would I pay to stream a broadcast channel where I can literally plug in rabbit ears and get it for free?
So here's the thing that I was trying to get to earlier, is that when we're discussing, are there too many streaming services, implying that we would prefer to have less, 1, 2, that covered a bunch of things. But the advantage of having multiple streaming services is that you get to have specialized services. You get to have these things that have their own channel, so to speak. They have their own ethos that makes them separate from other things. Like, and if it was all just one streaming service under Netflix / Hulu / Amazon Prime, whatever, then I don't think you would be buried in content. You wouldn't be able to find the things you wanted because it's so overgeneralized. It's like Pandora. You like a song on Pandora, and you end up having that trickle into your other channels and stuff because it's trying to build a profile around you. And if you had all of these streaming services in one place, it's going to start to build a profile around you, and you're not going to be able to expand in ways that you would if you have multiple services.
I think that's a good point.
Again, I have no problem with the variety of them. I think it's just the variety of what they're charging for.
That's me too. I don't mind that there's a lot of them. I just can't afford all of them.
Yeah,
especially as we still have to pay for our cable.
It's causing stuff where it's like, if I go back to like the regular cable model and let the TV dictate what I'm watching.
Yeah.
Or like the time at which I have to watch something.
Oh, I'd hate that so
then
much.
you go, like, the big idea of streaming is that it's video on demand, right? Like you can watch it whenever you want. That's the big draw of it. It's interesting how we're taking streaming and going back to the traditional TV and cable model. And what I mean is this year Twitter streamed the NFL Thursday Night Football games, right? On Twitter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's on demand. It's just live video. You can just go ahead and watch the game. Twitch, for like the last couple of years, they did the Bob Ross special where they ran all of Bob Ross's
Oh, I
episodes.
totally watched the one they did with Mystery Science
Right.
Theater.
They did Mr. Science Theater. They did Mr. Rogers the other day. They did Power Rangers, the entire 800 episodes of before the movie came out for a week. It's interesting how we're sort of going back to that.
I know there's been times where I've been wanting to like watch something on Netflix and I'm like, I'm not sure what I want to watch. I almost want there to be like, you know me very well, Netflix.
Right.
I've been watching you for years.
Just pick something.
Pick something, like an autoplay feature.
Right.
But
And-
like they have that. They have a recommended for you section.
But
But then I have to literally
still
click it. I want a button that's just random.
Just
Yeah.
click the first recommended for you. That's the same
then
thing.
it's
That's
saying-
the
but
I'm
you know how
feeling
many-
lucky of Netflix. Like, just do it.
But a lot of times I've noticed that like the recommended for you are sometimes things I've already seen. For discovery purposes, there's so much content, like with your theme, where there's just almost kind of too much on Netflix now. To discover stuff, I kind of want it to be like, well, Logan, you like science fiction. Here's a science fiction movie you haven't seen yet, or as far as we know, you haven't seen yet, and just start playing.
I guess I'm confused because they have that.
Yeah, but
Because they have
it just doesn't start
It
playing.
doesn't start
but
playing
yeah.
for you. It doesn't choose it for you. It gives you the option.
I know, but
Yeah, it'll be
I
like, oh,
like
you
you
like...
can go down and you can be like science
you like-
fiction movies that are
Or it'll
also
be
comedies.
like, oh, you like Rogue One? Here's things like Rogue One that you'd probably
But
like.
I want just like not a category of like you've watched Rogue One. Here's more stuff like Rogue One.
Yeah.
And like you've watched this. Like I just want all of that into one thing. And
Yeah,
it's,
just
like,
one
randomly
thing,
pick
and it
one.
just randomly picks.
like
So you don't even care what you're watching at that point then. So what's the
Well,
point of having a streaming service?
just
Why not just
discover-
have TV?
Because the streaming service will only be shit I like.
Not necessarily. Not necessarily,
But
right?
the
It
thing
builds-
too is, I can skip on the streaming service. I can't skip on television.
You can change the channel.
But it's like the whole Mr. Science Theater thing. That was really fun.
Yeah.
When Twitch has done stuff like that, because it was just like, oh, I need to watch something. Just load up that and just
Right,
start
and, like,
wherever
that's what
it's
I've kind
at.
So you're looking for visual white noise.
Well, I'm always looking for visual white noise.
Same here. I mean, and that's sort of like why I stopped watching all streaming services. Unless I'm specifically wanting to watch a show, the white noise has turned to Twitch and turned to like other kind of live streaming services where I'm just like,
my favorite thing to do is
cool,
like if I'm
I'll
working,
turn
I
on Twitch
love
feed.
having white noise, but like I put on movies and things that I've seen a million times because that way I know I'm not paying attention to it.
Right.
I can just listen or sing along if it's got songs or whatever, and like I just listen to movies and worked. It was fantastic.
I just think that Netflix and Hulu and these kind of video on demand services, because there is different kinds of streaming, right? We've got video on demand, and then we also have like live streaming,
Right.
And then a couple of other variations in between. If you're using Netflix as a video on demand service, the whole point is that it's on demand.
Right.
That seems like what you're wanting is a different service, right? It's halfway in between video on demand and live streaming, where
Well, I
you
think-
can make a custom Logan profile that just knows everything you like, and it'll just pick something and have it be on, and you can flick it on, and
I
it's
don't
something
think
you like.
Netflix has it, but I know Hulu has said they're working on something like that, where you could kind of just be like,
Right.
It's kind
almost
of
content
already
discovery.
doing that. I noticed I was watching Steven Universe yesterday, and when an episode got over, it queued up Dexter's Lab. And I was like, that's cool. I actually would watch that. Like, they just
Right.
would have started automatically.
That
had it
actually
not
happened
stopped.
before you came over. You're like, why is this movie on the screen? And it was
Yeah.
literally, well, my sister had been over, she watched a movie, and then
It just played another one.
and that played the next one, and you're like, wait, weren't we just watching another movie? And it's like, well, yeah. I think that's one of the things I like and hate about watching on Hulu is the autoplay thing. Netflix does it now
I think we've
too.
all done this too. Of like either on YouTube or something, you're watching a video, you fall asleep, or like you're watching a movie, you fall asleep, and you wake up to something completely different.
And you're like, yeah,
"What
you
is
don't
this?"
know how you got there.
Yeah, and you're trying to figure out like the points of connection of like where did this movie connect to this movie? How did I get here? If I have Lord of the Rings on and I'm working on something and I'm like I'm tired and I just like I'm sitting on the couch or whatever and I fall asleep.
Oh, yeah,
And then I
but-
wake up and I get to like Ghostbusters. I'm like, how did I get from Star Wars
From,
like,
like,
from Lord of the Rings to
I
mean,
Ghostbusters?
yeah.
So when I watch Netflix, I kind of get trapped because I only watch certain things on Netflix. I watch bad monster movies, and I watch science fiction stuff, and for a while they had a lot of really good animated superhero stuff, which I watched. So we recently went to Newport Beach, and we stayed in this place that had a smart TV, and it had like Netflix built into it with their account.
Yeah.
And I got to browse through their recommended stuff,
Just
their
ton of porn,
account,
right?
because it was interesting because other people were staying there, so it had like this weird influx of all the stuff that wasn't me, and so I got to discover things that I had no idea were on Netflix.
Yeah.
Because it was someone else's brand new profile, and so I just like wrote them all down, the things that I wanted to add to my list, and added them later. Maybe there needs to be a vary it up a little bit button.
You made a good point like, when you said like Pandora. I feel like Netflix kind of does this thing where it's like once you say that you like one song or one movie, it suddenly only puts all the things of that section, and that's all you see forever. Refining that like recommendation process would be nice.
Is there like a way to like delete your cookies on Netflix so it just like starts over again?
I bet you could probably just create a new profile and delete the old one.
No, but I want to keep my wish list.
There's got to be like some way to do it, but I know like content discovery on Netflix has been like a sore issue for a lot of people. Like I'm like you, I'm tired of going through like the Netflix recommended for me and seeing the same movie pop up in like multiple sections that was in the recommended for me. And in some cases, a lot of it is like there's a reason I haven't hit play. But back to the thing we started with.
Again, it just comes down to what they're charging and for what.
100% is the money for me. Like CISO, like everybody's like watch Harmon Quest. I'm like I'm not gonna pay for that.
Yeah, I know it's like it's only like $4 or something.
I'm not gonna pay for
it. The thing that I do enjoy is when they give you a free trial. So like
that's what I'm gonna do is free trial, binge it, and then quit.
You binge it and you quit it, and then it's like okay, if they have more content that I want to watch, then okay, maybe I'll go back and I'll pay for it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But like they have to give me a slice of what you're doing, so I can see if I like your content.
Show me why.
But like,
show me what you got.
Like Netflix is up to 12 now or 15?
12, I believe.
12. Okay, so $12 a month. You can watch
for basic
fucking 24/7 anything that's on there. Think about how many millions of billions of dollars went into creating all of these films and televisions and animated TV shows that we can watch for $15 for the cost of 3 coffees a month. And we're talking about how it's too expensive to add on a $4 CISO so that we can watch Harmon Quest, which has been animated. So animation takes hundreds of hours to create. You know what I mean? Like, we're approaching this from a perspective that the media itself, we're expecting it. It doesn't have its own inherent value. But then at the same time, we'll go pay $12 to go to the movie theater. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm fine with paying for it. That's fine. It's just a matter of, is there enough here for me to pay for it? Like Logan was saying with the CBS, I'm not going to pay, the $6, $8 whatever, for one show. Like at that point, I can pay $12 for Netflix. Yeah. It's not... Like, the breadth of content isn't there enough for me to value.
And I think that's for me, it isn't that there's too many services as much as...
There's too many ones that don't have enough on them.
They have one show that you want.
Yeah.
And at that point, it goes to my whole thing where if there's a show that I want that I can't get on Hulu or Netflix...
It's a little frustrating.
It's frustrating, but I know for stuff like Archer or like Star Wars Rebels, I buy it on iTunes, and we're recording this before Discovery's come out. If Discovery's on iTunes, you can bet I'm watching it, and I'm not paying CBS for it. Well, I mean, CBS is getting money through Apple, but I'm not buying their service.
Right.
But like, you're buying, how much would it cost to buy the whole season?
Probably, they're doing, 15 episodes? You're probably
like
looking $20-$30.
So why don't you just get the subscription service for like 2.5 months and watch it and then cancel the subscription?
Well, because honestly what it's going to be is I'll probably watch the first episode, and if I want to keep going, I'll probably want to watch it again. It's Star Trek. Yeah. I like Star Trek.
I'm the same way.
Star Wars Rebels. Yeah, I could sit there and find probably some other way to do it or pirate it, but I like Star Wars Rebels. I'm going to watch it again. I might as well get it in high quality, pay for it, and be able to watch it again whenever I want.
I guess that's a difference. So I'm struggling with this because I'm not a person who collects media. I don't even have music on my phone. I don't listen to music. I just listen to whatever's on the radio. I don't download or buy media, songs, TV, anything like that. I don't have that collection. So I'm always just taking it as they give it to me.
Well, so part of our issue too is that we live in an area where we have no internet connection. It's terrible. It's so bad. So if we don't pay for cable, we can't have TV. We can't stream stuff.
I mean, we can, but it's bad.
I'm not going to buy Star Trek Discovery from iTunes. I'm not going to pay for CBS because I already pay so much just to watch other stuff. So when you start calling in friendly favors or you start having everybody buy one service that you can just watch it.
And that's pretty common as I understand it, is people, I mean, look at on Netflix, I'm on your mom's Netflix account.
Files
there's 5 or 6 profiles and they're all are different and stuff. So there's no point in all of us paying for it, right?
Yeah, Charles and I share all of our accounts on there. It's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, I don't know anyone that has their own private service of any of these.
That's another value of it, is that you're paying $6 to $12 a month, but you can split it with at least 10 people, at max 10 people, probably.
Have someone just pay for it each month,
sure.
Done.
If me and Logan were hey, we both want to watch Discovery, and we split the $6 cost or whatever of the app, or, for the service, that's fine. But my thing is just, again, it's the idea of, here is an app on my iPad or an app on, or just a thing on here that I'm going to click once. a week. And it's not even a CBS app anymore. It's just a Star Trek Discovery app at this point. Again, it's not so much the money, it's the principle of just like, there's nothing here other than this show.
But I think, you said earlier, Logan, like, you remember when you got HBO that initially it was for Game of Thrones, but like, that they started to add really good content. Maybe CBS will be the same way, where you'll start to find new shows that you like, or, like you said,
maybe I'll start to fall in love with NCIS.
Yeah, but I mean, you never know if they're going to put out some new content, or if there's something that you didn't know existed, like...
Oh, absolutely. There's always that wiggle room. Right, as of right now, it still kind of stings when it's like, I'm only using... Like, that happened with Yahoo Screen.
Yeah, Yahoo Screen is, I think, the big example of how to do this wrong.
Yeah, and luckily, it was free, so I didn't care. But it still bothered me that I had Yahoo Screen everywhere because I wanted to watch Community. Like, it was just...
Yeah, and then Community ended, and they had nothing.
Nothing, and it died.
And... I think that's kind of my problem when it comes to a lot of these services and a lot of networks and all these places going like, hey, we're going to create our own service. Is if you're going to create a service, you better have more than just one thing that is...
The golden goose.
Yeah. Because if you just have a golden goose and you're not willing to build up a portfolio of things that I might be interested in, I'm not going to go after your golden goose.
I feel like kind of what we were getting at is not that there's like too many streaming services, not that it's too expensive. It's just that we kind of want what we already have to be like, optimized. We want them to be the best they can be, have a good amount of content, and have good ways for us to find new things and just make it the best that it can be.
We want to push them to make better content. Like, I don't want to give them $6 and say, it's okay that you're only giving me Star Trek Discovery.
Yeah.
I don't want to give you my full $6 until you show me that you're making
more
than...
you can be, CBS champ.
Yeah.
Like...
Yes. Yeah, that's the point.
Please feel free to leave your comments and thoughts about streaming services at www.teambluepost.com or wherever you happen to catch this episode. Finally, we sit down and discuss what we're up to and cool things we've discovered in New and Notable.
I'm super excited for all the new shows going to Disney Channel. I've already been watching the Tangled show, which is really good. Highly recommend it if you like the film. But they've got the DuckTales show coming out now, and Big Hero 6. They look so good. Like, all the clips, the art. I feel like Disney's finally, like, getting its old cartoon roots back. I'm really excited. It's like, this doesn't tell you. Like, I'm so excited.
This being for our audio listeners, her pointing at a DuckTales shirt.
I think you were saying earlier, Chris, having David Tennant as Scrooge.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I was so happy.
When they first announced it and everything going into it, it was just like, okay, I'm in.
Well, and then they're like, oh, also Launchpad's going to be on there. Oh, and Darkwing Duck and like Gizmo Duck. I'm just like, yes, bring all the ducks, please. Like, I'm good with this. Yeah. So I'm very excited about all that.
My notable thing is a Twitch channel. I believe it's Scentdex. I'm not sure how exactly the guy wants it pronounced. So basically there's an AI driving a car around in Grand Theft Auto. And it's bizarrely interesting to watch because you're sitting there, you're like, oh, it's just someone driving around, but it still can't sometimes tell the difference between the sky and the road, or the road and the concrete barrier, and all it can do is drive. It doesn't brake, it doesn't stop, it doesn't do really anything other than go. You start just watching and just getting sucked into this, just in the insanity that ensues. Especially when it starts taking out people or other cars, and it starts getting a wanted rating. So you have this AI car that, like, has no idea what's going on, and it's getting, like, shot at by cops, and then it's, like, killing cops because it's like, oh, here's a stretch of road I can go through, and it, like, knocks the cop over, and then it gets another star rating, and so it's, like, this massive amount of chaos surrounding this vehicle.
That's awesome.
And it's just really fun to watch. So we'll have a link for that in the show notes.
My new notable is some games that I've gotten into lately. So during the Steam sale, I bought Crypt of the Necrodancer, which if you don't know what it is, it's a roguelike where you kind of have to move to the beat of like EDM dance music, and the monsters all move to the beat too. You have to time your reactions and your movements and stuff because enemies move to the music in different ways. And then I was somewhere where I couldn't, like, listen to the music, and so I was like, well, shoot, I really want to play a roguelike game, and so I got back into Dungeons of Dreadmore. I highly recommend it. Very satirical. Everything is, like, making fun of the genre. In terms of, like, the crafting materials, there's, like, bronze ingots and that kind of stuff, but there's also plastic ingots. And, like in the tooltip says something about, like, the ancient dwarven plastic miners and stuff. It's very funny. So now I'm kind of exploring the roguelike genre.
If you haven't, check out FTL.
Yeah, I will. Yeah, it's on my list.
Mine's, like, I guess a little less fun. Mine's more kind of work-based. So the esports season's kind of wrapping up to the end of the year where we're starting to get a little busy. So I'm starting to do a lot more research, watch a lot more matches. The League of Legends season is starting to wind down to Worlds, which starts around October. So all of their playoffs and seasons are starting to wrap up and sort of get into sort of where teams are going to be for the rest of the year. So it's my time to work and stop playing around and start watching what I need to do.
Stop playing and start playing.
Yeah.
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 Well, stop playing and start watching other people
Start
play.
watching other people play.
Hey,
Yeah.
there's work in there.
That's work in there.
Yeah, yeah.
For Chris, it's purely work.
It is.
Sure.
There's no play.